The astrology of the week beginning Sunday, the 8th of February, is a countdown as we approach the big events at the end of February. Can you feel things building up? We have Saturn moving into Aries, heading towards Neptune and their important conjunction. We have the waning moon taking us towards the following week's eclipse, and Mercury enters its shadow zone, heading towards its retrograde. So the countdown is on, and amidst that build up, we have a sweet energy of Venus moving into Pisces, helping us to remember about sweet romance and creativity and the flow of love in life. In this video, I'll talk about the transits of the week ahead and how they'll influence the energy, the events, people's moods, your moods, and the decision-making moments as you go through the week. Welcome to my channel, everybody. Hello, and if you are from New Zealand, kia ora. My name is Fiona of sunandmooncalendar.com. I am based in New Zealand, but this astrology that I'm talking about is for the whole world because the astronomical and the astrological transits affect us everywhere, and it's just that the time changes depending on where you are in the world. I make calendars like this one and like this one for Australia and for New Zealand, not for the rest of the world yet, but maybe one day. In this video, I'm going to do a roundup of the week's astrology. We've got this build up as we head towards the big events at the end of February with the Saturn-Neptune conjunction especially, but also the eclipse in Aquarius. This week, we're not there yet, but the moon is waning as we head towards the eclipse, and Saturn moves into Aries, and it's not going to be back in Pisces for another 27 or so years, and so it's in Aries now for the next 2.5 years or so. Well, okay, and it's going to be bringing its serious and dutiful side to Aries. In this video, I'm going to talk about the transits of the week one by one, and in tomorrow's video, I will do an in-depth look at Saturn in the sign of Aries and what that might mean for your chart over the next couple of years. So just to tell you a little bit more about the astrology that I work with, I do Western tropical astrology using the whole sign house system that works well for what I do. And I'm excited this week to show you a hard copy of the Australian Sun and Moon calendar. It's full of Australian birds and animals, and it's using Australian Standard Eastern Time and with times adjusted. So my sister organised to get the calendar printed in Australia, and her friend Nina, thank you Nina, and my sister Nina distributes them around Australia. So it's nice for me to actually have the hard copy because Nina sent them over to us and I haven't seen it yet. Anyway, let's get on with the video. I'm going to start with talking about the phase of the lunar month that we're at, which is a waning phase, and then go through the transits of the week one by one. I'll do an overview of the week and then looking ahead to what's coming up, the big stuff coming up at the end of February. And just before we go on, if the sound quality is not as good as usual in this video, it's because with Mercury square to Uranus last week, and that can cause problems with technology, my lovely laptop mic is now not working anymore. It's suddenly got all the static. I can't use it anymore. So I'm hoping that this other mic I've got is okay for now while I sort something else out. Okay. So looking at the phase of the lunar month that we're in, this is a page taken from the Australia Sun and Moon calendar. It's got the Australian Kelpie dog there representing Capricorn. This is a Capricorn lunar month. And I'll just show you just the grid part of the lunar month. And I've circled there the week that we're in. So you can see the moon is getting smaller and smaller in the sky. And we are heading towards the new moon in Aquarius, and that is going to be a solar eclipse. So the sun will be partly, just a little bit, blocked by the moon. This will be visible way down south in Antarctica, and really only people in the southern parts of South Africa and Argentina will see it. The rest of us won't be able to see it. Nevertheless, an eclipse can affect us with karmic changes, sudden turnarounds, and changes of direction and events coming in that can feel fated. So that's the following week, and I'll talk about it more then. So now an overview of the week. So there it is, all laid out there. So you can see we've got the last quarter moon happening. That's on the 9th or the 10th. Venus moving into Pisces. Mercury's retrograde shadow begins, where it's not retrograde yet, but it's building towards that. Mercury will conjunct the North Node. That's going to be a little bit eclipsey in a way. And Saturn will be moving into Aries. Okay, so here's a chart. This is the moment when Saturn moves into Aries, and I'll be going more into this in tomorrow's video, as I said, into the Saturn Aries moment. But this chart just shows where we're up to in the week. So you can see over the last couple of weeks, we had that big stellium with 5 planets in Aquarius, and now we've only got 3 left because there's Pluto, that's going to be there for 20 years, Mars, still there for another few weeks, and the Sun. But next week the Sun will move, not quite. With this week, we've got Venus and Mercury already into Pisces. Okay, so you can see them there along with the North Node, which is not a planet or a point. That is showing us the eclipse point. Okay, so when the Sun and the Moon form a new moon or a full moon near that North Node or the South Node over here, that is the points where we have eclipses. Okay, all right, and there you can see Saturn at 0 degrees of Aries and Neptune at 0 degrees 31 minutes of Aries. Saturn is heading towards meeting with Neptune. Okay, and I just made that extra little purple wobbly line there to show the Sun getting closer to the end degrees of Aquarius, where it's going to have its eclipse, because it's just going to be close enough to that North Node to form an eclipse. All right, this week's transits. The last quarter moon in New Zealand, that's on Tuesday the 10th, but for all the rest of the world, even for Australia, it's on the 9th. You don't really need me to give you a date for that, because you look up in the sky and you can see the moon looking like a half circle. This means that the Sun is square to the moon, and it's time to get onto things and tick off your to-do list. And with the last quarter moon, you can be reaping the rewards or harvesting the work, getting the benefits from the work that you've done over the previous 3 weeks of the lunar month. All right, but there's extra energy to complete things. It can feel a little bit tense or stressy, just in a mild way. We get this every 2 weeks. It's energy to get through things and do our stuff, to take action. And then we have Venus moving into Pisces on Tuesday, the 10th of February. Venus is very happy in Pisces, is exalted in Pisces. Pisces encourages Venus's lovely desire for connection, for making things sweet and comfortable and loving and flowing. Pisces will bring out creativity and flow and dreamy, spiritual almost feelings of connection and compassion and charity towards others and generosity and peaceful vibes. So we've got this for a few weeks until early March. So let's make the most of it. It's a lovely time to connect with others, to connect with spirit, to get into some of your creativity and have a very sweet time doing that. All right. And then we have Mercury entering its shadow periods. Okay, so this is where Mercury will cross the degree point that it's going to retrograde back to later. So Mercury is moving through Pisces. So I've drawn this line there of the forward, back, forward. Mercury at 8 degrees 29 of Pisces, it gets to its shadow period. It's going to move through Pisces, is going to get up to 22 of Pisces. Then it's going to move backwards. That's going to be its retrograde. Back to 8 degrees of Pisces. And then after that, it will move forward in its post shadow until it gets to 22 degrees of Pisces again. Then it's just going to go forward. All right. So anything that comes up in the next few weeks, while it moves toward, in the next week or so, actually, as it moves towards that 22 degrees of Pisces, once it goes over that 8 degrees, the things that come up in those next few weeks, and I'm going to pause the video so I can see when the retrograde starts. Okay, so Mercury retrograde starts on the 26th of February. So, in the weeks building up to that, anything that we do now, especially things to do with communication, logical thinking, analysis, and planning, yes, and talking, and social media, and small business, and learning, all of these things might need to be redone, revised, go over them again. So, in this part of the world, in the southern hemisphere, at least in Australia and New Zealand, all the kids are going back to school, and in this week and last week, and I wonder if they're going to be starting on their learning, and then something's going to go wrong, and the teachers have to take them back through that beginning learning again. That's the sort of thing that can happen with Mercury retrograde. Okay, and Mercury is about learning. All right, and anything to do with Pisces as well, because that could be our creative work, anything where we're dreaming, flowing, visualizing, doing charity work, art or music or stories, film, photography. We may need to go back over these. All right. Anyway, it will all be interesting and we will learn from it. Okay, done those. Okay, on Thursday and Friday, depending on where you are in the world, Mercury will conjunct the North Node, and with that, it will be opposite the South Node. All right, so the North Node is about our soul's purpose in this lifetime, what we need to be moving towards, and the eclipses help us with this because the lunar nodes are to do with the eclipses, all right? So Mercury going over that node is a chance to think about, talk about our life's purpose. What does your soul want you to be doing? This will not be about necessarily making money or developing your career. It might not be about your obvious goals. It might be about something that your soul is trying to bring you towards. And when we have the eclipse in the following week, there might be more events and messages from the universe about that. So, with Mercury, it can bring a message, it can be a good time for thinking and talking and analysis on this topic. All right, so you could use it in that way. And then on the 13th and 14th of February, Saturn moves into Aries. It was in Aries between May and September last year, so we had a taste of it, but this time it's staying in Aries right until April 2028. The Aries part of your chart is getting lit up, let's say washed up. It's getting glamorized by Neptune moving through Aries for the next 14 years. But for the next 2 years, Saturn is going to be bringing some caution, some good sense, and the requirement to work hard, be sensible, be dutiful, and to have some difficult restrictions to overcome in the Aries part of your chart. So I'm going to talk more about that tomorrow in a more in-depth video and do an all signs breakdown about that transit. Okay, and it's heading towards this thing here, the Saturn Neptune conjunction on the 20th or 21st of February. That is a really big one. It's at 0 degrees of Aries. It's such a big new start for the world. It's hitting off the mini-trine. There's going to be so many developments that come out of that, and out of the trine formation between this conjunction and the other outer planets. All right, but also The other upcoming events are the solar eclipse on the 17th, 18th of February, and then on the 25th, 26th of February, we've got Mercury going into retrograde. So more about those later. So as you can see, there's a lot going on, and it's all building towards this big conjunction between Saturn and Neptune and the eclipse, and then the retrograde is just going to add more intensity. There's a lot of ups and downs going on for a lot of people, and I wish everyone the best with that. Remember that things will not last forever, and I also recommend not getting too carried away with watching too much in the news. It can be so negative. We are fed the negative stuff. I know there's a lot of terrible things happening, but there's so much good happening as well, and there's so much good that can come out of these formations that are happening. The mini-trine that I'll talk more about tomorrow, formed between the outer planets. There's so much flow and potential for positive developments for your life and for the world as well. So send out the good vibes to the world, everybody, and I'll be back for tomorrow's video.